Good afternoon for those who will be catching me live and those who will be catching me on the replay. Samuel Tolbert, Sound of Joy Music Services, and we're back with another unscripted, impromptu um, live. I just did another video and felt that, gee, I haven't done a virtual organ live yet, where we delve into some of those iconic sounds of organists, not just the church variety, but jazz also. So we may look at pulling up a couple of YouTube videos of some iconic organ sounds and see if we can duplicate it in the virtual world. As you know, I have the um, IKEA multi, IK multimedia Hammond B3X. I always get it wrong, or BX3 sound module that I used, that I've been using now for the past couple of years. I originally had the native instrument version until they did not do upgrades for the latest Mac OS updates. And costly when I first purchased it. The prices come down now. It was $299 when I purchased it. I believe it's $199 now. So if you want to, for those who do come in, if you want to investigate what the pricing is on that now, if you want to add that to your virtual instrument package so that you can have these same sounds that I will be demonstrating today, then you're free. Let me know rather, and we'll go to their page and take a look at all the different features of it. Again, I don't want to hide anything from musicians that could help them grow musically. I'm waiting for others to come in, so I am talking a little bit, which I don't do a lot of, but then I've learned to do a lot of it in the past few months, or years I should say, since I've been able to go live. So the organ sound, again, the iconic sound, it's what church sounded like before all of the synths and the various styles of music that have now are up in the forefront. But there's a way, again, to let the organ have its place even in today's sound. So we'll investigate some of those other songs if you have any recommendations. No real song breakdowns today, but because I'm going to be 100% organ mode, there's a lot of musicians that are looking at um, moving up from the keyboard sound into the organ sound. So I actually have an actual track, thanks to C-Dub, the free version of these C-Dub whoop triggers, that gives me a nice church beat that we're going to also look at and see how the organ can actually manipulate that actual sound. That was the era in which I came up in, when we didn't have piano players. If you had one, it was great, but the organ was the actual dominant instrument, especially on a Sunday night. Nobody wanted to play the piano on a Sunday night because it got kind of rowdy for the testimony style songs. But I'm just waiting for others to come in. We have three who are viewing. I would ask, and let me put that in. Let me type that in. Let me know who is visiting so that I may acknowledge you and where you are from. Yes, I am a typist. In my early days as a teenager, I worked for the IBM Corporation, and they put me in as a technician for repairing typewriters. So that's where I learned my typing skills, and because I can play an instrument also, it made it a lot easier to manipulate fingers. Now you're going to find out that you're going to see ads pop up. This is a new thing in uh, on the live sessions of Facebook. They will pop ads in there. You're free to watch them or skip to go past it. So I'm actually monitoring this. I just had an ad pop in and I just skipped it so you can still hear me talk. I will monitor it so that you don't miss anything. And if you do, you can always type in a message to me, hey, an ad popped in and I didn't get to hear what you just said. I should still be able to remember the last parts of my conversations. We have three who are watching us right now. So let me get away from talking for those who will be looking at the restream. At mark 8.20, I'm going to switch over until timestamps are put in. So let's switch over to the organ mode. Now this is the organ mode. Unfortunately, the camera that I would normally use for this mode does not want to cooperate with the OBS software. I'm waiting on a replacement camera so I can do an upgrade there. This is the page that you normally will see when I do the organ videos. This allows me to give you a good look at the fingering placement, because you get a good, let's see if this still is operational. I guess it's not operational. I have a, there we go. So you've got a clear view of where my fingers are when they're being placed, as well as a virtual look at where that node is called. It's called, let me just go into my virtual and put that on C this way. And of course, you do see the actual drawbars move so that you can see what drawbar settings that I am using. Now, a lot of musicians of my day, I won't speak to today's era because everybody's different, won't show you their drawbar settings. It's a secret. It's like a special sauce that that they made. So, and if you see that sauce, God forbid, you might sound like them when they play. So I give you a look at what the chord sounds like with the actual settings. And as I instruct on all of my videos, when you have these two drawbars, these two white drawbars out, you are now in the range of an actual piano. I can bring up the piano sound. As you can see, both notes are together. So when you sit down to an organ, you don't have 88 keys, you have 61. So, but it's good to know that when you're going to pull drawbars out, the reference point will change. If I were to pull out these drawbars, now it becomes heavier. Now becomes middle C becomes up here. Now it's too high, you come back here. So that's that comfort range that musicians who are going up to the organ will have to need to know, I should say. Now, yes, a lot of musicians will do this. As soon as they sit down, they'll pull all the drawbars out. Why? Because they want to dominate the sound. They want to be heard. That's nice, but if you want to learn, start here. This way, you can be, as I call, transferring up from the piano stage. You'll learn about the expression pedal as another way to manipulate the sound and just be able to do chords. Now I am on a weighted keyboard, so the keys are a lot heavier than a normal organ would feel like. They're more like semi-weighted keys, which allows you to flutter a lot faster than you can with weighted keys. But that's, again, that's a technique thing. It's still the same notes, except you can hold a key and it won't stop until you let it go. It's yeah, and it is a practice thing. When you add the bass note on the bottom, which is the lowest note of your chord, And you can, as I say, manipulate notes a lot easier when you can hold chords when you're on the actual organ. So let's get into some of the basic things that you wanted to experiment. Once you get your range of practicing, now you can begin to move drawbars out. I always say start with the one closest to the white. That gives you a more of like a harmonic tone. Okay, an ad just popped in, so I'm backing up. So that drawbar closest gives you an actual harmonic tone. Go to the next one. There it is. And these sounds, what they do is they help you sculpt your sound. Now, there are presets on your organ. Like I can actually show you some of the presets. That's a preset, 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 preset. You will find these on your Hammond organ. Now, you don't see the notes I'm hitting, but my keyboard extends into the range of where the presets are. So if you just want to be able to get comfortable, you can use a preset. Or if you want to set your own, welcome, my visitor from Germany. So glad to have you here. And when you set your own, you will be as I say, sculpting your sound while you're playing. Now, yes, you do have some musicians that have their preset, their actual go-to setting for the organ, but you're going to find that wherever you go, every organ is going to have a different, based upon how it's been maintained, sound to it. So your preset sound may not work on the next organ you walk into that's not your personal one. So you're going to have to now investigate how you want to sound on that particular instrument, depending upon the song. Imagine doing Sweet Hour Prayer. Now you hear that key click in the back. Let's see if I can hide that key. No, I can't hide. That key click is adjustable on this software, but on an organ that's like a mechanical sound. You hear that pop. That pop should be natural. Again, capacitors give you that. I used to work on organs with my father. Capacitors give you that sound. As they begin to wear out or dry out, that sound will actually dissipate. But again, it is to replicate a mechanical sound from a pipe organ. That slide is iconic for the organ. And again, the ability to change chords while you're playing, because you got to leave one hand has to fill out your chord while you're adjusting drawbars. And it is the musician who has the most chords rules the organ. If your chords are limited, then your ability to manipulate the sounds that an organ, especially the Hammond organ, can produce will be limited. The more, I see we got another ad playing, so I'm going to pause again. I am monitoring the channel also. This is the YouTube thing where they just throw ads in. Okay, skip. All right, so the more chords that you know, which is why it's always good to go from piano to organ, because you bring all those chords from piano to the organ, and now you can manipulate those chords in a different way. If your chords are limited to the 1, the 6, the 4, and the 5, then you're going to be severely handicapped as to how to manipulate what the organ will give you. Now, that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing, because again, a million songs were written with just 4 or 5 chords. Five, 1, 6, 1, 2, 1. So you can still, again, get by with it, but it's about being able to now have the dexterity in your hands to manipulate notes. Because you don't, again, musicians don't want to sound like church when they sit down to a Hammond organ. Everybody wants to have that jazz feel. So you're going to set up this setup for jazz. Which is okay if you're in a jazz setting. Me, I like the church setting and jazz. Yeah. Go to the key of G. So what happens is that you now pick a song that you want to adjust your chords for. Hey, welcome, Vaughn, from Connecticut. Now, I've found in my instructing here on the internet, a lot of musicians shy away from the key of G, and I question them that did they not know the key of G fingering mirrors the key of C except for one note. That's the C fingering. Key G. That's the one note that it does not have. Same three notes, same three notes. The same fingering just is where your first note starts. So for those who have a fear of the key of G, learn to play in the key of C and go to the key of G, and this fingering will be exactly the same, just that the sound of the notes will change. Same fingering, it's just the different notes. And these are the things that the early musicians of my day would not share with me. So I struggled to figure out, well, gee, how do you get that sound when you're in this key and you go to that key? And they would either stop playing or shut the organ off while I'm asking or looking, because apparently there was some secret that they were, as they say, sworn not to share. Again, the more chords you learn, the more you'll be able to manipulate. Oh, I see there's another ad playing. Let me wait till this ad passes through. Again, I'm monitoring on my iPad, so I'll know when they throw an ad in it. So you won't get frustrated when you sit down to an organ when you have a starting point. And I say, put these two drawbars and rear down, start right here. And if it sounds too bland, bring one here, another one there, and the end there. Now that'll give you a more brighter sound. Higher. Leslie off. E, sweet, I know, in G. If I were to go to C and keep that same fingering, C, same fingering, I'm locking my hands for G, transferring up to C. There it is. Ah, it's a chain. There it is. I'm thinking like a piano player now. I found the same Music Vaughn, in my day it was bad. I'm not sure how bad it is today. Hey, Cedric, welcome. In my day it was very bad to the point where they would push all the drawbars in and turn away from me so I couldn't see what their hands were doing. But perhaps it is much better than it was 50 years ago. Which is why you see me talk all the time. Is why I share an overhead video. I was one of the first ones on the internet to put up an overhead camera for the purpose of showing where my hands fall when I'm playing, and I would slow it down so that they could see how my finger placement is in place, because I knew what it felt like when a more skilled musician refused to let me see that they were playing this chord, even though I could not reach it, but at least say, oh, this is what I'm doing. Now, yes, there are sometimes my hand speed will not let you see what I'm doing because I'll think 5 chords ahead. Like when you see me stick on a chord, I've chosen 3 chords and I messed up picking the one I want to use when I get to that point. If I were doing the song Anointing Fall on Me, key of D flat, I've got to establish where the melody is so that underneath the melody I can place the chord. So it's starting in the B flat. Now what chord would I want to put there? I could go straight here. Or I could go wholly different chord. Now my mind said throw that on top. There's the melody, but now I'm above the melody with chords because it's an organ. That's my chord, but now I moved the melody down here to fit this chord in. Straight. That's my highest note. Chord. Chain. Stay there. Now I can go so many different ways. I can go straight or which one do I pick? Go straight first. Drop down. So when I'm thinking, oh, you're welcome. When I'm thinking about chords, I'm thinking melody first, and how can I support the melody from its bass chord first, which is what the chords are designed. It's the number system chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the bass chords, but then I work for my own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the 1. I work from both of them. Then I look at, well, what mode do I want to be in? Do I want to be in a jazz mode, classical, into a jazz mode? All that is happening while the song is being played in my head first, and instantaneously it's transmuted down to what key I'm in, where my bass note is going to be, and what drawbar settings I want to have out. So an organist is in total concentration, where a piano player just plays notes. The organist is thinking about all of this at the same time that they're listening to someone sing or watching someone direct. So yes, an organist is worth the higher salary for all the thinking they have to do, at least back in my day, the thinking that they had to do. What's that other song? As the Dead. All in the scales. As the dead. I'm only drinking drop two. Add the bass, full the call out, Leslie on. Change the chord. Melody at the top, but now jump off the melody. Change the transition, E flat, F, B flat minor. But bring the I missed a note. Now I'm going down to F. But give it an F sus, right? But hang on that note, give me a G flat. Resolve. So from here, all that has to be instantaneously thought out and pre-planned, which means you would have practiced those changes at some time in your practice session. But at the time you're playing, at least for me, I'm picking and choosing what chord I want to use before I actually use it, because I've practiced it. Turn. B flat major. 7. Now, after the chord, what's the chord I want? That's why you need the melody helps me decide what chord I want. When I didn't do the melody, I lost what chord I wanted to go to. Scale, Sam. And once you can hold a chord, wow, Cedric, God bless you. And your first time too, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless you. I want to thank Cedric for being a blessing in support to what we're doing here. And let's celebrate. This is Cedric's first time using a super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. See, music, I missed a comment there. I'm 44, going on 45, from a Jamaican background, trying to catch up on this gospel and CCM chords and tricks. Yeah, gospel is a combination of spirituals, anthems, and jazz. I see an ad just popped in. Skip, clear the ad. Gospel is spirituals, anthems, and jazz. When I was coming up as a young musician, I was given an opportunity to play for a jazz band in high school. Didn't teach organ or piano though, but they taught the essence of playing within a mixture of instruments, and they each having their own set of chords. So when you see me play, I'm thinking about every instrument my head can imagine would play a chord for any particular melody. When you get to that gospel, it's basically just sped up. Let me pull in my my rhythm track here. This is what gospel is. This is jazz, sped up. So on a Sunday night, when they're having testimony service, this is what you would hear. And as an organist, you would be sitting there going, oh my God, look at this 2/4. 1 2 1 2 3. And then you'll be wondering, well, who's going to start singing the first song? I'm so glad, I'm so glad. I'm so. So now you can pull out all those chords that you've been hiding in your practice session with a Sunday night beat. As long as you're on the one. Now, when you're on the one of any gospel song, it's like jazz being on the jazz. On the one, 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 on the one. So you count 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 on the 1 2 3 on the 1 and the 3, but the clap is on the 2 and the 4. So you would practice. On the 1 to 4, 4, the 1, the 4, 1, the 5. So as you listen to me play, let's bring that down a bit, is I'm on the 1 2, on the 1 3 I should say. Trying to cut this down. There we go. Keep it in the back. I'm on the 1 3 while they're on the 2 and the 4. Bring that up a little bit more now. And this is about rhythm. Let me see. Now that's if you're in the key of D flat. Most musicians like to be, for congregational songs, in the key of E flat. So this is what musicians of my day loved, was a Sunday night service, because they can go dum, ba-da-da-da, dum, jazz. What the Can't Nobody Do Me Like Jesus? Can't Nobody. Boom pop. 4. Six. Can't no. Straight jazz, but sped up. Now, some might say that's a little slow, but that was church on a Sunday night. Just holding a note. Now, you could do that on a Sunday night. You owned the service. Even the pastor couldn't stop this on a Sunday night. Musicians were in charge. Let that fade. So musicians, especially the organists, owned Sunday night service, because when you got that kind of a tempo, not this up-tempo 166 beat shout tempo, but that church tempo right there, where any song sung could fit, the organist owned the service. There was nothing the pastor or the leader of the testimony service could do. They had to wait until the organist got it out of his system. Now, because I was a different type of organist, I kept my eyes, because I was trained to watch whoever the actual conductor was. So if they put up the stop sign, I would bring it to a stop, unless they gave me the, all right, let them finish it off. That meant I was free. Once the leader or the pastor said, let them go ahead, because you want, if you see your audience or your congregation engaged in testimony song or this type of singing, I mean, they're fully engaged. I mean, everybody's up. You're getting that foot stomp that you don't normally hear on a Sunday morning. Then the musician was free to be a musician. That foot stomp on the one. Now you can go and let them clap, because now they would get happy. Bring up your drawbars. And all you're doing is on your bass, but your right hand and left hand is finishing up the chords. No feeling like that one. Change key. Go up again. So these were what you did as an organist. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you again. Another ad is playing. I'll come back to that last thought once the ad. Okay, the ad is passed. This is what the Hammond organist controlled back in my day. Now, of course, today the music is a lot different. The organist is relegated to just playing chords again, and there's nothing wrong with where the chords of this day. Key of F, that's where I stopped off. What song could I put in there? Which is the day of the song? I'm trying to think of a song that is CCM worthy. Not that's the gospel song. I gotta think of a song. Waymaker. So the organist has these chords, while the guitar or the piano player or the synth board has their chords. Waymaker chords, 4, 1, 4, 5, where I would be that's what I would be doing if I were the organist in this day. Now, I am retired, so I don't have that opportunity to push my agenda of music for some of these CCM chords of today. But if I were, that's what you would be hearing from me, not in competition with any other instrument, but if they ever said, let's hear from the organist, I'd give them this setting. Let's see. We get this setting. I forgot I only have 61 keys and not 88 keys. But I'd be musically chording, staying within the context of the melody, but adding some of the intricate sounds that an organ player has. Stop on the 4. Again, the more chords you know, the more you can rely on. So that's that part of it. The organ music is an iconic sound for the Pentecostal experience. So much so, at least here in the New York City area, tourists come and they want to visit the African American, the black church, to experience that sound. And what they're getting is a mixture of it now. But back in my day, when they would come and we get them from France, England, Switzerland, Germany. Uh, who else would come? They used to always call out who they were. Japan. I made sure they left with the church experience of an organ based upon what songs we were doing. If we were doing a morning hymn, which usually were there for the morning hymn, what would be a morning hymn? We would normally do Blessed Assurance, D flat. Just looking at the melody. Let's change some of the draw bars because I know how I like the sound on a hymn. They would always get this chord. Now, as you can see, I have elements of jazz, classical, and hymn music all in that one portion. There's my jazz. My classical, jazz, classical. A mixture of jazz and classical just to give motion in the music. Change drop, minor. That's a jazz, classical turn. Now, how would I know that that is a classical song? Because I've listened to classical music and they love to do that change. Even Smallwood does this change. Classical turn. So I would use all the elements of what I've practiced for years and then add it into a hymn so that it would never sound boring. A jazz turn, 2, 5, 1, because the jazz terminology is supports melody. 2, 5. Bring down the highs, introduce. Welcome, Cedric from Texas. You have been continued to be a blessing. God will reward you for your blessing and being a blessing. Oh, thank you very much, Cedric. So when you're on your organ player, I consider the organist to be the lead instrument. Now it's different today, but in my day, when I had the organ and I was had the responsibility, that means I had to know every in and out of a song, because as the lead instrument, that means you're the loudest instrument, the most recognized instrument. And when you're playing for a soloist or a choir, then you had to know how much draw bars, you don't pull this out when you're playing for a soloist. Nowadays they do. But when I played for a soloist, I would pull back, and these are the settings I would use. I would pull back, no harmonics, because I want the soloist voice to be the lead instrument, not too many highs. If they were going to do Greatest Thy Faithfulness key of E flat, that's still too bright. Let's pull that back. Let's pull that back. I need a little bit of a, let's see, switch up, pull that back, this out a little bit. Grade is, I need a little more, not you, there it is, thy faithfulness. Turn the Leslie off. No chords yet, just follow the soloist. Oh God. Give her a traditional, oh God, my Father. Hear that? A little lead there. Turn the Leslie off. Pull back here. There is straight, no shadow. The C minor, but with a sus. Go ahead. Classical turning with Leslie off. Keep dropping it down, because that's her next note. And land, thou, Leslie on, change, follow her up. Let her hit that note, but drop below. Change. Jazz tone. Hell not. Don't change yet. Let us stay there. A flat. Diminished chord. Thou has been. I'll throw that note in for color. Been thou forever. Would Leslie off. Change the key. And a little cadence on the bottom. So while a soloist is singing, that's what's running through my mind as an organist. Constant movement, pausing, waiting for the soloist to lead me to where she's going to go, listening to her voice or his voice to see whether or not they need a break. When they need a break, then I know I can throw something in. When they get to the Greatest Thy Faithfulness, I know where they're going to go. So be the F sharp, 7th, walking it up to the cycle of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going backwards. Great is, and now we start to bring it up. Not hot. Straight. Turn chord. We pull back a little bit. Again, these are tips of playing for a soloist. You know you're going to the C, so go right there. Now, while you're down there, now you can go straight, or you can lead with the F sharp lead with the F7 to go to the B flat. Classical turn. Now that's the change that a lot of musicians get struck on. You just follow down. That's a classical move. Think of it as you're being in B flat. Once you know where the melody is going, you have, again, an assortment of chords that you can pick from. Now think you're in B flat. choices. Go straight. Let's go. Or no. There it is. To the minor. I generally pick, for the first time through, the traditional way, because that leaves me now space to do something different. The worst thing you want to do as an organist is to show all your chords the first time, because that means you got nothing else to go to if there is a reprisal. The next time, or and you're always adjusting your drawbars. So again, the more chords that you have, where do you get your chords from? Other musicians that you hear play, other venues of music, be it classicals, be it spiritual, be it jazz, be it contemporary, urban, all the songs you've ever heard, and add more from watching me and all the videos that I show, where I don't hide the chords from you, where you can now practice them in your own time. And when you do find yourself as a musician, especially an organist, in that environment, you can just open up your mind to, well, where is this lead singer strong enough to hold a note? If they don't have that drive, you don't need full chords. Just help them get to where they want to go. Not too much. Cut back on your highs. You could go this door. This seat. You can throw that chord. You can throw a diminishing there. Pull back a little bit. Then, help them get to the C. Great. Diminish. Now this is what they call the what is it called? Turnaround. All in the scale but chords. Add a diminish in there. Great. Stay on the B flat. Is half step up. Lie. Give them that seventh. That seventh means you're going to turn. Now, if you want to get gospel, again, that's that gospel turn on minor, what do they call it? A flat minor. There it is. E flat minor 6. Now, a good soloist will take you up there, but if they don't, stay beneath the soloist with your chords. Pull back. Now, if she's a good soloist, which I play for soloists that can sing up here, then if your soloist goes up there, if you got a real good one of those operatic style singers on Greatest Thy Faithfulness, if they can go up here, you have to be up here with them. straight with a seventh, or look at all the chords you can pick from. Here, here, or here. That's your classical chord. Now I love doing this. But that's me. As I say, the more chords and the more progressions you have in your head, based upon who you're supporting as a singer or soloist, you can pick and choose which ones will be effective, which is what you're both doing, both the singer and the accompaniment. You want to leave an effectiveness to the congregation. You're not playing for yourself. I know some musicians will gravitate to the theory that God is listening to them play, and I often say, if God knows your beginning and end, he knows what you play like already. It's the people who you are playing in front of who don't know that. So can God ever be impressed by anything I do? No, and I'm aware of that. But can I help to inspire those who may be listening to what I'm doing? Yes, because if they never heard me before, I'm the musician. As a youngster, I'd walk in the door, and if I was going into a different church, I would always want to know what the organ is, so that if my choir was going to sing, if my pastor was going to preach out, I would be looked at. Oh, you play? And I go, yeah, I play a little bit. I just want to see where the organ is, where it's situated, and sort of spec it out, because, again, I'm the son of a certified Hammond organ technician who took him at the age of 9 with him to go fix organs in churches. So I wanted to see how badly the pedals were and how many broken keys there were, and if any of the drawbars were broken, so that I knew that I couldn't pull out the settings I like to use. Most of the time, organs were in good shape. Sometimes you have a vibrating foot pedal. Usually C would be vibrating. So, and I see a piece of paper stuck underneath to push it back up. And then I knew that they didn't pay for someone to come in and either tighten it or push or replace the pedal pusher is bent because somebody moved it. But those are all the things as a musician I would pay attention to details. But I always wanted to sit and see what I was working with. Does the Leslie work? If there's no Leslie, then I'd have to use the other vibrato to be able to simulate a motion sound. But once I'd sit down, I would always go do a scale, jump around it, pull the drawbars out to see how they're sounding. Again, not to show off, but this is my way of measuring what am I working with. Hit them with that chord, and they go, oh. Just to hear the tone and pull back on it. Now I'm moving drawbars while I'm just holding my hand. And they go, oh, you do play. I play a little bit. Because that's how I could hear all the notes, to see whether or not I could work my chords. And I would get, okay, everything looks okay, and then I'd be happy. Yes, that's what I've recognized, that the chords and melodies go together. Melodies are to be supported by chords. There's a term called KISS, K-I-S-S, and I've heard people use it. One person that I heard preached it, that word, said, keep it simple. They use the word stupid, but I use it as keep it simple, Sam. KISS, K-I-S-S. So whenever I sit down to play anything, I always try to simplify it first, and not just to go all out. Again, I don't need to go out as soon as I sit down on an organ. No, I need to pull back, pull out what I like to work with, just to feel a comfort level. No matter what key it is, if I go to, I'm in E, key, D major. And these are the things I would do in an off key just so that I can get comfortable. What am I in? E, G, D major. No, E major. B major 7th, and work it up in B major. Just to get comfortable. And as the organist, you always want to be comfortable. You don't want to have to be fighting the organ. Some will be in disrepair, which you're going to have to fight. Either the lower manual has been worn out, then you're going to have to play the upper manual for chords, and the lower manual maybe for bass. If the bass, or if the Leslie, and as you can see, this thing has this software has, I think, 6 Leslies that you could switch from. I use the defaults because I'm happy with it. But if I want to go in and tweak the sound, I could. But I choose not to because this gives me the most pure sound that I feel comfortable with. Where I know I can just bring up gradually these keys. Try to remember the things I would practice in the key of E. Here it is. Practice for a musician is next to breathing. If you find that you don't feel like you want to practice, then you feel like for that moment you don't want to breathe. Every time I practice, I find where I'm lacking in being comfortable or where I need to spend a little bit more time. I don't spend that much time in D because I don't have a lot of chords or songs I would do in D, E. But if I had a mindset for D, then it'd be like, okay, C sharp, F sharp, B major, D7, E7. E13. G sharp or A flat. So I have rules to practicing. throw in a classical change, throw in a jazz change, throw in a standard change, find a song that you can play and then work those changes in it. If I were to pick, what's that song everybody likes to play? Um, no, not that one. What's that song? Usually do it in F. God, nope, not that one. Oh, I can't think of the song. But it's gonna take me from the 1 to the 6 to the 5. Give thanks. Give thanks. B. Minor. D. Now that I know the path, there it is. And so now that I'm struggling through the song, my mind is going, okay, find your patterns that you would normally use. Change your keys so that your fingering is not down here. Now, change your chords. The chord I want, that did. Or I can think small word. And that usually gets me out of it. I think of a song that I don't normally do. But that's E. But for an organist, what you want to be able to do is manipulate and manufacture your chords to fit whatever experience music-wise you want to be able to give. There we go. Questions, please. Sometimes I can get caught up in talking where I don't take any questions for those who are watching. I believe we have 7 who are currently who are in the room. And again, I want to thank Cedric for being a blessing to the work that I really enjoy doing, and being the first time he has ever, because I do see that first time given a super chat on a live stream. That's a different honor, where you're the first. No one else can claim that. Everyone else would be second, following you. Certainly, I do appreciate that. And for those who do that to watch, you are um, the major contributor to today's stream. Thank you for that. So are there any questions? Again, I can get caught up in conversation, especially when I'm playing, because to be able to describe what I'm thinking while I'm playing is something that's still sort of new to me, because I can change my mind by the time I get to the chord that I'm going to play, because I always try to, as again, work on an actual simplistic thought process first. What scale am I in? What are the chords that are common to that scale in the type of song that I'm playing? And what type of um, emotional musical response, number one, for me, do I want to hear? I can hear this chord in my head before I even play it. So when my hands come to the keyboard, they're already forming that chord because I know what it's going to sound like. If I were going to change keys and go up to F sharp, then I can hear. If I change the key and go to A flat, I can hear that change already when I'm in a different key. So if I want to hear the minor, major, major, minor, 7, and go to the major, I can hear the changes. And because I now commit myself to studying what chord I'm playing, I can tell if it's a major chord, minor chord, a 6th chord. Why am I throwing all these changes in there? It's because it's following a prescribed pattern. Let's go back to our rhythm, because this is what organ in the church is. We're going about church organ chords. Let's bring up another song. Hey, welcome, Tees. What are your top 10 chords I need to know? Or what's my top 10 chords? Anything that has a major 7th, a major 6, a minor 6, a diminished, they call it a sus chord, but again, in some of the books they call it a plus chord. It's built on the whole tone scale. So what am I saying? Let's go to the key of C. Any major chord, that's your first chord. Any minor chord, that's number 2. Let me see what this, okay, it's called augmented, because these chords lead you other places. A minor 6 chord, a diminished chord. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything I think, is built off of that. Again, 3 chords gives you 3 inversions. 4 notes gives you 4 inversions to pick from. And as you expand out, you begin to tailor the actual tone of that chord. Of course, your 7th chord, right? Major 7th. Your C7 chord. So now we're up to 7 chords. What else would I consider in that as my go-to chords that is going to show up somewhere in every song? Can you consider this a chord? A C7 flat the 5th. play the 7. I'll throw that in there. You hear that chord? Let me see. Yeah, you hear that chord. That's 8. See, when I do a play a chord, I'll do variations of that chord. I can do this chord and do this or do this. Those are really 3 chords, but it's the same chord played 3 different ways. The minute you add a secondary note, it now becomes another chord played 4 different ways, depending upon where I'm going to place it. But I say those, they may not be 10, but they may be 8 that I'll go to and play variations of it in every key. So I may do this chord here. Let's see. Let me see. Yeah. But then I'll do this variation of the same chord. But I'll use that as a passing tone. Because I've heard jazz musicians use that. So I'll use it as a passing tone. It's leading me to a particular space. And that's what chords do. They help the melody have a place to land. If there's no melody, then chords create a path for the final note, whatever that final chord is. Some like to end on the 4. That sounds horrible to end on a 4 like that. But you can end on a 4 like this. Oh, I left that chord out. Yes, the minor 6. So that brings it up to 8. And let's see. I guess the full 6 chord also. So there you go. That's all 10 of them. I used to have a chart. Let's see if it's still here. There it is. If you want to know where I get my chords from, this is thanks to Piano Note, who posted this on the internet. I just borrowed it to see the chords I play. So here you see major, minor, augmented. That's the chord you hear me do this. The major 6 chord, the minor 6, but it goes further than that. There's the dominant 7th, a minor 7th. Do I use that chord? Yeah, I guess I do use that chord. There's the major 7th and the diminished 7th. And that's not all the chords. There are, at least on this chart, this is all, I guess you may call this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 8 basic chords, but there are so many more that can be added. But just working with this set of chords right here, let me just slow it down for those who are watching. This gives you an insight as to, in every key, what these chords are. You might hear them in all your music when you're playing, but me, I hear them. I've heard them in my past, and as I got books and began to understand what was I hearing, and then going through them and go, okay, so this is what this chord that I've been playing all these years, designated name is from a chord library standpoint. This gives me more ammunition, so now that any key I go into, I don't have to hunt trying to sound out that chord. I'll know what its name is and what its designation is. Now, when you look at these chords, and if you were to use the number system, C would be 1, E would be 3, G would be 5. So if you want to do some deep study, what would a major 6 chord be? The 1, the 3, the 5, and the 6, which is why they call it a C6, C being the root, and the sixth note being the top chord in that note. So what happens is this becomes 1, this becomes 6, add the other 2. It's called a C6, but it entails having 2 additional notes, the E and the G. If you play them both together, now I don't have my chord name there. What would this could be called? Oh, a major 6. I'm looking at my chordy app in another window that you don't see. That's considered a major 6. And this finishes off. This is a major 6. This calls it a C major 6 because you're adding the C major chord and the 6th note. That's the theory that musicians would not share with me, and wrong page. And I have to give them maybe a little leniency. The musicians back in my day may have just played from feeling and not from book knowledge. So it's hard to tell someone what chord you're playing if you're just playing by what you feel. Most times when I am playing from what I've played and practiced in the past, and I rehearse it in my mind as to, well, will this chord fit in this particular progression of chords or in this following this particular melody. But it's always good to have some theory written that you can refer to, so that when the confusion comes, well, gee, what is that chord I'm hearing in my head? Well, you can now refer to a book of theory. Where's your first note starting? What note are you hearing? Well, if that's your first note, you're already in your key of F major. Is it a major chord? Is it a minor chord? Is it in the minor chord family, or is it in any one of 7 other scales? I try to keep it simple. As I say, keep it simple. Is it major minor, or is it harmonic minor? And then I'll listen to a particular song to see if I can duplicate that hearing of that chord in my head. When I was learning For Every Mountain, I had to hear the classical changes. Okay, if it's in the key of F, but it's not in F major, it's more of an E flat minor. Well, guess what E flat minor is? Rather, E minor is. I should say D minor. Gotta look at the keyboard. What does it have in common with F? The same notes, just starting in a different spot. So I said, oh, now I can see how those chords. I've got so much to thank God for. Now I'm in F. Now I'm in E minor. E flat, E, A7, D minor. So once you understand the theory behind scales, and that the chords are built off of scales, that we just covered that, where you can look at a chord and count the numbers of a scale that helps to define that chord, then there's no song, gospel or otherwise, that you will not be able to decipher on your own. Eventually you won't need me. So this sheet is good start and a good foundation. Yes, anything, and you can go on the internet and do searches for chord charts. You can Google it, and thousands of images will show up from posts that have posted even more than this. I have some I haven't even shown yet. because I'm trying to see are they relative to the gospel music. The more information, as I said, the more chords that you have under your belt. I think you were asking about how many top 10 chords. I may have 20 chords built on those, off of those top 10 chords, that I will use in conjunction with following a path of a melody. Some songs you'll listen to and they'll give you the 1, the 6, the 4, and the 5, and they'll say end on the 4 with a 1 chord. That's only 4 chords. That'll get you through most of the popular songs that are out there today. But if you go into the realm of the gospel sound, 4 chords is not enough. Try to do 4 chords with Thank You, Lord. Mr. I hit my preset because I'm thinking like a piano player. There we go. More than 4 chords. More than 4 chords. So gospel, as I say, makes its own rules. It's borrowing from anthems, spirituals, classical, and jazz to come up with the gospel sound. The CCM sound will give you the guitar ease of a guitar player, just knowing the number system chords that are placed around a melody. And that's what, again, the thing that I teach. Chords are the landing spot for melodies. Now a melody can survive by itself without chords, but it just feels like it's out there by itself. If I went to I'm sure you noticed already just from the melody. So already you know that tune just from the melody, no chords. Now, if I were just going to do chords without a melody, you wouldn't know what song I was playing. If I was just doing the 1, and then the 5, and then the 1, and then the 1, and then the 6, and then the 1, 4, and the 5, and then the 1. Without a melody, you would not know what song I was playing. Put them both together. So the chords need a melody in a sense to give it an identity. Otherwise, it just becomes chords. Now, as the musician, you now take the elements of that and you go, okay, I've learned how to manipulate melody and chords. Diminished. So I kind of changed the melody a bit, but because I instituted some different chords, all found off that scale that I just showed you, and applied it to that melody to give it a little more texture. Now I'm adding elements of a rhythmic. Which is why I say the more chords you learn from for an organist standpoint, the more you will have the ability to manipulate sounds. Oh, how I love Jesus. What I say when you want to go to the B flat and you're in an F, that's the seventh chord, is going to lead you there. Oh, diminished chord, minor, seventh chord. Now the jazz turn, 2, 5, 1. There's my chord that I say I use. Bring that down. Chord. Because he first, a jazz turn, so the more chords that you learn, so going up by key, any specific exercises. Oh, how would you recommend I practice these chords? Again, it's about keeping it simple. Know that they exist first of all. Once you know that they exist and what they sound like, then you want to practice them in every key. Let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up my workbook that I shared back in the early 2000s, or the middle 2000s, 2006 through 2000. Because I put together a whole a practice routine for those who don't have. Okay, let's see now. Let's go to, not there. Let's go to this one. Let's bring it up on this page. Because that's a very good question. What should I practice and how should I practice? Let's bring in, let's capture a window. Because I did not have anyone to share with me anything about practicing. So this is a look at a workbook I created from everything that I've learned without the help of a musician's understanding. I want to expand it out there so that you can see what I recommend. And I think this should be Get me out of there. Okay. I want to make sure that it expands big enough so that it's readable. Okay, that is readable. So this is what I wrote in 2011 when I had an online presence on the internet, training musicians around the world. I needed to get to them the theory behind what I do, what I did as a young musician to get comfortable or to get more comfortable. Well, move me out of the way a little bit. There we go. And I'll read it through. As a new musician, I believe it is very important that you follow a routine of practice until you're ready to go at it on your own. Should have been a comma there. Here are some suggestions I believe will assist you in developing a practice routine. Welcome, Sub-Zero. Number one, turn off your cell phone, because when you practice, you should have your mind totally engaged in what you're attempting to accomplish. If you want to build up fingering strength, you have to be attentive to how well that you are striking, hopefully a weighted keyboard, but if you don't have a weighted keyboard, it doesn't deter you. Just the one, that's long one that's at least has the full size key look, and you could be able to manipulate the actual tones. Hopefully you're practicing with a piano tone and not some synthesized layered sound, because you need to be able to hear what that tone sounds like without having other tones masking it. First of all, pray. And I didn't take it to the first part where I had an actual musician's prayer that I got from the internet. Again, I've used the internet and Google as my guide to sharing information in a more constructive way. Start with scale fingering in every key, duration 5 to 10 minutes. Why do I say start with scales? Where did we say, or where did I say that chords come from? They come from the scales. So if you don't know your scales in every key and at least 2 octaves, you won't hear those chords you want to practice. I don't need to wear this when I'm on this page because I'm not playing anything. You need to be able to hear a scale. Can I bring up a keyboard in this page? I think I can. Let's find it. Chord. There it is. There we go. That's my keyboard. Let me switch to piano mode. Okay, middle C. You need to know where middle C is. Whatever size keyboard that you have, middle C should always sound like middle C. Always, because that's now training your ear to recognize middle C. If you hear a song and middle C is in that song, you should be able to recognize middle C. If the song is in C, great. If the song is in A flat, you should be able to still recognize middle C. If the song is in F, you should be able to recognize middle C. If the song is in E flat, you should be able to recognize middle C. And you can only do that by practicing. 1 octave is great, 2 octaves is better, 3 octaves is optimal, which means you'll be able to hear a range of middle C used in any song or any chord that you're trying to decipher, and not just middle C, but also below. That'll help you with recognizing where the bass notes are. So scales in every key, not just C, but D flat, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, G flat, G, A flat, A, B flat, and B. Scales in each of those keys. Of course, those are where your chords are coming from. Next, and that's for 5 to 10 minutes, which means you got to get with it. You can't just be dawdling. Practice it, get comfortable with it, and this is with both hands. I believe I say both hands on there. In every key, duration 5 to 10 minutes. Next, practice your triad inversions in every key. Those are the chords, and I believe in the page over. Yes. Again, I do give you music theory as part of the practice, so you don't know what to practice. I give you what chords are. This is book knowledge. I took the time to write this out. The major scales, in case you didn't have that. Uh, yeah, there's more on that page too. And this is just one. This is page 8. Um, and again, you're wondering, well, when do you get to this page? You see, I got 10 steps there. This is if you have never had your own practice routine, so that you could be able to, um, as I say, develop your own. It's nice to have a guide first of all. Then you take off that. Well, gee, I know my scales. I don't need to practice that. Fine. Go to page. Go to step 2. Practice your inversions. Triad, which is 3 notes in every key. And what are the inversions? Root, first, second. Change key. Root, first, second. Next key. Root, first, second, and so forth. 4. Practice chord progressions and transition chords in C, D flat, E flat for 10 minutes. So what are progressions? I'm listening to myself on my iPad, so I know because there's a 30-second delay. At least I know I'm being heard. Progressions are what I gave you. Those are progressions. Progressions mean a movement, either up or down. Those are chords in a progression. Change keys. Now you could do the number system if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. Those are progressions also. Next, take a break, because you would have practiced so much. 10 minutes, 20 minutes? That would have been the first half hour. Take a break, drink some water, which is what I should do right now. No soda, because that makes you hyper. Rest your fingers. Now, practice a melody with left-hand chords to a familiar song. And I suggest a hymn that you like to play, or a praise song. This is now 2011 when I put together this version of this workbook. There were 6 versions. This is version 7, I believe. They all built upon, have elements of each other into this. And this is your practice session. This is before you start doing any choir songs or learning of any particular song, because you're training your mind to become disciplined. Your fingers to fall on the notes, your ears to hear the notes you want your fingers to fall on, and your chords to align with the songs, which is step 6, that you want to practice. Now, you saw me do "Oh How I Love Jesus" just by itself with a melody. Then I added your bass chords with it. Then I began to add different additional chords to it, and I kept building out chords, changing the pattern of it just a bit and stretching it out, which is from practicing scales all across the keyboard. Once you've done that, you're up to, as I say, now that you are warmed up, you can tackle more advanced practice. Work on your preacher chords, and I do give you my generic version of preacher chords that were 2011-ish. Again, I have not had played preacher chords in over 25 years, but that doesn't mean I don't know the path of them and what their purpose is. I do have a page that does cover my generic take on this. Again, it's a lot different today. Preachers are a lot different than they were back in my day. They were older. Today they're younger, and they can go almost anywhere. And then number 8, select 3 congregational songs normally sang in your church. Play them in the key they sing them in, using techniques practiced from this course. So that would be, let's get you back into the organ mode, and let's get, because back then I didn't have an actual drum pattern. Let's see, 3 in the key that you would normally do it in. And we'll stick with piano. E flat is a traditional congregational song. Key, let's go with, that's normally B flat. The Windows of Heaven. So that's one song. A song could be, let's see, traditional congregational song. This is a little fast for that one. Let's see. Can't Nobody Do. This is a little fast. Can't Nobody. Now, playing congregational songs should also rev you up. And for our third song, okay, this is the congregational speed. Let's see, what key should we go to? What's a good congregational song? Well, welcome, Jay Green. Thank you very much. So go to D flat. What's a good congregational song? Storm Cloud. At the movie, if your soul not thankful. So there's 3 songs, congregational, a little bit faster than it should be, but the idea is to get your mind into the congregational state of mind. Of course, again, music helps you too. It doesn't just help the congregation; it helps you as a musician. Now that was a little faster than I would normally do. I couldn't think of 3 congregational songs right away because I haven't played for a congregation, a Pentecostal congregation in decades. But when those songs are generally off the cuff, they're not programmed as they are now, where they're pre-programmed by the praise team. We're going to do this song, we're going to do that song, we're going to do this song, start the track, as they say. Back then it was spontaneous and in any key. I know I'm doing piano, but this is from an actual instructional standpoint. Following these steps helped me get to where I am right now musically, to where if I can hear the song played correctly, I can decipher and break down the nuances, melody, chording, and the progressions of a song, and basically learn it within 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So you got your 3 congregational songs out of the way. Let's see. Do not use a transposed key, as you got that in there in red letters for a reason, because it's too easy to cheat in your practicing session. Because if you're practicing your scales, practicing your inversions and all the scales of the chords, practicing every nuance of playing for the songs that are traditional to your particular ministry, you shouldn't need a transpose button ever. It should be known, should be seen and not used. Lastly, if you play for a choir or praise team, begin practicing songs they will sing at the next service. That's step 9. And again, this is 2011 when I wrote this, so praise team songs are a lot different. Well, way different than what they were doing back then. That's why I hadn't created a new book, because a lot of the students who I was mentoring over the internet shifted over to other entities who were doing what I was doing, but for the era in which they were. And I said, that's fine, because I'm for the traditional musician. 10, take another break. Answer your cell phone and update your Facebook, which means get back to your life. So in answer to your question, um, going up a key by key, any specific exercises, that's what I suggest, that you, if you don't have a practice routine, then you can always scroll back in the video and you can look at what I have here. As you can see, if you have a keyboard with a metronome, start your practice tempo at 50. If you have a metronome, that's good for practicing. There's a lot that I covered in here. I wanted to go back. As you can see, I used information that was available to me and made it to where those elements that help me get comfortable playing, knowing what the correct fingering is, and then not only that, but knowing where those notes are on a paper scale. If you weren't a actual musician, I made it possible that you could print out a paper scale. This was I think it was 40 pages in this workbook, PDF pages. So I wanted to be able to have a musician to have access to what a keyboard looked like, what the notes names were, and then also give you a diagram of the correct fingering for practicing scales for both hands, because the correct fingering is very important. As you can see, right hand, 1, 2, 3, cross underneath with the thumb, F4, all the way out to the cross underneath to get to the next one, and all the way out. 2 octaves, the correct fingering. Correct fingering helps you with being able to manipulate the chords so that you will know how to shift your fingers to play the chord or the run that you want to play. This is not supposed to be easy. It becomes easier once you have a practice routine and you practice it. Again, this is what I suggest for musicians to look at as if they want to grow musically. My late pastor, Bishop O.M. Kelly, would always have his phrases that he would say, and one of them was, the more you know, the further you can grow, or the further you can go. I like the word, the more you know, the further you can grow musically. The more information that you have, and then how to apply it and when to apply it, then all of a sudden everything that you thought you knew becomes a lot more clearer. Now you're not just playing a chord, but you're playing a chord that has a name attached to it. A chord that, where's that scene at? I got so many windows here. Where's that page? Huh. I must have covered it up. Okay. Yes, I am. I'm covering up. Get you out of the way. Where are you? Where'd it go? Well, whatever that page was, you're now playing a chord that has a name attached to it, and then you get to see why are they playing a minor chord on the bottom and a major chord on the top. What is the name of that chord? For me, that's where the last page of the last pages of what I put together musically made sense to me, The last pages, as you can see, this is a lot of information here that I made available online. There was a download. Look at all of these breakdowns of songs using the what you've been learning. I gave you the playing hymns and spirituals used in the church. I try to cover everything that a church musician would need to know between being an accompaniment, pianist or organist, instrumental improvisation, which is what you see me do a lot. And I got these out of books. Songs that are, again, appropriate or should be learned back in my day. It's a lot different now. I'll pull this out. It's a lot different now. Let me get me out of the way. Get me out of here. Back in my day, these are songs that a church musician, traditional church musician, should know and when to use them. Holy, 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 God me that great Jehovah. They're not singing these songs anymore. But I'm not going to update this book because this is a different day that we're in. Welcome, Shedrick. Acknowledge those who are coming in. What's on this list? Let's see if you recognize any of these songs. Holy, holy, holy in the key of E flat. That is the hymn book version. Now, these are songs that were recognizable by your congregation. Nowadays, you sing a song, the congregation won't know what you're singing until the words come out of your mouth or you project them on the screen. God me, O Thou great Jehovah, another traditional processional song in a traditional setting. Rejoice ye pure in heart, another song that was used as a processional. Again, today's musician would look at me like I was crazy if I said, well, play Rejoice ye pure in heart in the key of F. And they'll go, what song is that? Who's it by? It's in the hymn book. Uh-huh. Haven't played in a while. Rejoice, rejoice. Wow, haven't been a long time since I played that song. That's why I got caught on that change. But these are the songs which were traditional back then. March in Design, Sign Me Up, which is the #1 song in the processional song in the Baptist church. Write my name. That was traditional in the Baptist church because I did do 18 months playing in a Baptist denomination also. Lord, preparing to be a sanctuary, you know that one. Traditional songs that which can be used. Because if musicians don't have, my thought process was, if the musician doesn't have a guide, so that when they walk into a ministry and they're looking to be employed, and the music department either is in disarray, which means the last musician got released unceremoniously and everybody's in uproar, and he's walking into an actual hornet's nest. It's better to come in prepared to restore order than to try to navigate conflict and contention. So you come in there and you go, okay, who do I have left? Because usually when a musician has been unceremoniously ousted, he'll take a few choir members with him, and usually the best choir members. So you look at who you have left. You go, okay, everybody, where's the hymnals? And we want to see what hymnal will you be working through to be able to say, okay, go to page number so and so for our first Sunday, so we can restore order musically. This is what we're going to come in on, and you look in to see which song can be appropriate for that ministry. If you just coming in there to get paid, then you really don't care. You say, well, you know what? Y'all sing whatever, and I'll just play behind you. I was never that type of musician. I believed in order. And as the organist, you are the lead musician, even if you have other musicians that you've been hired over, because you tell me what happens, or you come in with your own team, somebody must be in charge. If it's not you, you need someone that you can have respect for what they issue out as a musician. But the more information that you have, the better you will be in your progression in this ministry of music, because you also have to um, what's the word I want to use? Be a music pastor to those who are looking to you for guidance. And if you have none, then you have nothing but confusion. So these are what I have written out: opening hymns, invitation calls, come to Jesus, I surrender all, just as I am, songs which are traditional. I have decided to follow Jesus, pass me not, O gentle Savior. What a friend we have in Jesus. Songs that every musician who wants to be in the ministry of music should know as a reference. The other side, I covered Christmas, the traditional songs, Easter, which is coming up at the cross, nothing but the blood of Jesus. The blood will never lose its power. I gave you the key numbers: because he lives, Christ is alive. That's a hymn. Everybody sings up from the grave. Congregational selections. I feel good. What a mighty God. Yeah, I should cover some of these. Praise the name of Jesus. Could have used that. I'm running for my life. He never failed me yet. My soul loves Jesus. These are traditional songs that I came up with. Different ministries may have their own songs, but again, it's good to have a reference, because what happens in music, same notes, different words. Same progressions, just different enunciations of it. One speed in the Pentecostal church, same song in a different church is slowed down or it's sped up. You get comfortable doing both. You know which one that you can apply. I haven't played that one in a while. Yeah, I did The Windows of Heaven are open. So this again is information to get the musician who was getting instruction from me a heads up on what you can look forward to. Gave you practice routines, because I did want musicians to learn how to read basic sheet music, which is what you would find in a hymnal, and what that fingering would be, because you never know if you're going to be asked to do a hymn that you've never heard of before. But if you follow the process of learning notes, the fingering of those notes, if you see them in a hymnal, you can go look at this chart and see, well, gee, what key is it in? Well, you should already know that from the earlier lessons, but you'll be able to see on a sheet music line, if there's a lyric underneath, what note is under that lyric. And I've had that when I did my 19 years in the United Methodist Church. They handed me a hymnal in my interview that had 800 pages. And I'm like, hold on, there can't be 800 hymns that I don't know. Some were familiar, but a lot was not. So I merely, in my interview, said, I'm not familiar with that song, but if you select it, give me a chance to work with it, I will know it come time for service. And for the first few years, that's what I did. Went to YouTube to find someone that plays hymnal music exactly like it's written. I could follow along with the notes and hear the changes that were unfamiliar to me, and then it became familiar. So this is part of the process. This is what we're doing now. The advanced musicians, that's the native instrument version of the Hammond B3 that I had that no longer works because they didn't upgrade the software. But as you can see, I also shared my settings and other settings for playing specific types of songs. These are the things in my day musicians would not share with me. And I have to keep emphasizing that if you're a musician watching this live stream and a replay, please don't do that to the guys who are coming up to you on the organ and asking you, "Hey, I like that sound. What was your setting?" Don't hide it from them. Don't say God gave it to me and I'm going to take it to the grave. I'm not taking anything with me. When the Lord says I don't longer have to be here, I hope to have a record on YouTube and somewhere on the internet or somebody's computer that I would not hide anything to anyone. Look at all these settings that are Jimmy McGriff, house music, house bass, America, theater organ, born to be. These are all settings from that I got from internet. A shouting setting, and now you see there's two that's left and the right hand. This is for the upper manual, for the lower manual. The pedal settings. Again, why hide what can be shared? And what did I cover here? Because I am a Hammond organ musician first, I know you hear me play a lot of piano. I play the piano from a practice standpoint, but I'm really a Hammond organist. That's where I cut my teeth. So I put in, for those of you new to the Hammond organ, to start the Hammond organ, you just push. Yes, I give you how to start the organ so you don't burn out motors or burn out switches figuring out how to start it. So I give you the how-tos if you're um if you're transitioning up. And I believe I put some things you don't do so that you don't break it. There's a lot of information in there. Again, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Church musician do's and don'ts. I put that in there also. Why not tell a musician if there's a pitfall in what he's choosing to do? Why say, well, you'll find out? No, I was never a you find out person. You say, what am I walking into? I wanted you to know what you're walking into. And that's why I talked about the hornet's nest. You don't know if you're being hired, are you replacing a musician that passed away, a musician who moved away, a musician who had an argument and was put out but has a lot of friends because they've been there, a musician who is a fire starter and likes to stand back and watch things burn? You don't know what you're walking into. So I give you my take as being one who was in ministries for 25 years, for 18 months, and for 19 years, the good, the bad, and yes, the ugly. And when it gets ugly, it should never transpire to your music. Let it be ugly in a meeting, hopefully away from choir members or from parishioners, because when it gets ugly, you won't know who's your friend. You may think that person is your friend, they're on your side, and you may find out they're not. And that now leaves you in a state of confusion. And as a musician, why work on getting yourself so disciplined that you could play any song you hear and learn any song and then allow hearsay or third party conversations to disrupt your discipline? As I say, when a musician, when you learn to walk away, it is the best thing for you because you will find that your heart will thank you for not having to live with the stress of late night, figuring out, staying up late night. What did you do wrong? What could you have done right? If your body does not get the rest it needs, your heart suffers. Now I'm speaking from one who's experiencing that now. So, church musician, do's and don'ts. A lot of information there. If you haven't taken a 15-minute break, oh, continue with your lesson. So yeah, again, why keep all this information to myself? When I talked about progressions in C, these are the progressions that I was talking about. I may have played them, but I gave examples and the purpose for them. Please be very patient when learning these progressions. The secret behind my progressions is the top note. It's the melody line supported by chords, which is what I teach, and I give it to you for left and right hand so that you can train both hands at the same time. And these are my progressions. This is how I use chords in support of any melody line I may be playing. And as you're looking at this, look at all of these chords. You talked about what are my top 10 chords. There's the major, there's the minor 6, there's the 7th, there's the minor, there's the major 7th. I'm just looking at them. B, D, F, A flat, B, D, B, D, F, A flat, B. Yeah, diminished chord along with the bass. So these are the chords that I call progressions. As you can see, in C, D, E, F, E, D, A, D, G, C, F, G flat. And an assignment, of course, you've got to be able to see if you can retain what I'm showing you. Once you've learned these progressions, transpose the entire lesson to D flat, which means whatever chords you see here, go to your keyboard because you've learned how to look at a key and go over a note and go to the next key and do the same thing. This is how I get all my chords. Preacher chords. I give you my interpretation of my day, how I heard preacher chords based upon the ministers who were in front of me. Worst thing you want to have is be sitting on a service and you're given a chord and the preacher's not ready for it. Let them alert you, and I think I have that in here. Let them alert you. Yes, I do have that covered in that. Some may bring their own musician for this reason. Don't ever feel embarrassed if the minister instructs you to hold your fire when they're preaching. I've experienced that. It is not a good feeling. And yes, I reacted in my feelings when I stopped playing until he finished preaching. So I know what that's like. I'm like, oh, you don't want me to play for you? Okay, preach on. So I'm much better now, thank God. So, and these are the preacher chord variations that I would consider my go-to and how they would be used. Short, long, short, long, short, short, depending upon, again, the cadence of who I was in front of. But it's always good to have a guide for those who are still watching. And these are the patterns in every key because it's good to have a guide, again, of chords to work from. A hymn moment. If you're learning a hymn, it's good to know who wrote that hymn, who the writer is, who the writer of every hymn is nice. Again, it's good to have knowledge because you may be asked one day to do a synopsis of a particular song, and if it's great if you could actually read out. Today is more. This is before Google. It's good to be able to. I don't know. Google was at this time. I think I may have gotten this one from Google. Yeah, over 8,000 hymns. I don't know them all, but the ones that were prominent in your churches. And then, of course, practicing to read sheet music. I made that available for the musician who's at an advanced level. Yes, we covered some of the Kirk Franklin songs. E flat. Someone asked the question, why we sing. I should be able to look at that and play just the melody without. Let's bring this up a little bit. Let's see if I can bring this up. And let's move this over. Put on my headphones. Key of E flat. And practicing that. It's a B flat. Let's go into the piano mode. Nope. There's middle C. F. And that continues down from there. F, E flat. So taking my course, you would have learned what notes are and how to address them. Now you just add the chords. So you would be able to read sheet music, learn the melody, and then apply the chords based upon what you have been learning and the application of them from practicing. It continues. This didn't come out, this didn't print correctly. And I don't know if I could go back in time and fix that. Again, this is 2011. Here is T-Dumb's question about chords, I believe. Every chord I play and that I learn is built upon this reference chart. Where do I get my chords from? There they are. Majors, all the names that, again, they call it C+5 here in the book. It's called an augmented chord. All the inversions. This is just the key of C. Look how many chords there are available to the musician. Key of C. How many chords in C? 1 page. 2 pages. 2 pages of chords containing what? Let's see. How many do we have per page? We've got 1, 2, 3, or rather lines. 4, 5, 6 lines there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 lines of chords and their inversions. Where are my chords coming from? From the information. Then you go up to D flat and you have the same amount in D flat. And every key, these chords are interchangeable. What you use in one key to help you emphasize melodies in another song, you can borrow these chords. Whatever you use in E flat, you can use also in C sharp and in C minor, because they have the same notes and their chords are interchangeable. These are where I get all of my chords from a written standpoint to practice, and then when I learn a song from an artist or from a particular era. Okay, I'm going to stop because I see an ad just popped up for me. Okay, the ad is gone. These are the chords that I say you should be practicing. Not all at one time, but perhaps 5 minutes in each key just to get comfortable with the fingering. Again, it shows you where the notes are. In an earlier book, I showed you where your fingering starts. Usually the lowest note is played by your thumb. So your thumb becomes number 1. And these are just the one-hand chords. I have another book that has the two-hand chords in them. I'm not going to share. Pardon me, I'm not going to share that one. These are just the one-hand chords, right hand only. But it's endless chords in every key. What, we're just the A flat? We still got A major and B flat. Where's my mouse at? There we go. So I want to bring this to a close. I've been on, I think, it's over 2 hours, 2 hours and 32 minutes. This is again, I want to thank Cedric for being so supportive and supporting the stream for everybody with his gift. This is the information that an organist needs to have. The ability to manipulate the drawbars, the expression pedal, the foot pedals, the sound of dual manuals. You wonder why the organist is paid more than the guy that plays the keyboard. Look at all the additional work the organist has to contend with, and still play the song. We haven't even gotten to playing the song yet, but the The work involved the desire to do that work comes within the person that's playing. For those who say, "Oh, you can play the organ in just 10 minutes," you got 10 minutes practicing scales. You haven't even played the organ yet. I practiced for hour, 2 hours, sometimes maybe 3 hours if my father didn't say, "Get off that organ, boy," because again, he was a Hammond organ technician, so we always had a Hammond organ in his repair shop. So I could go right there and just key it up and practice and work on my foot placement and my pedal speed and how this chord sound with that chord. That was before I had this book. I only had my ears back then trying to decipher what chord did I hear. What did it sound like? It sounded like this. Okay, let's find that note that makes that sound. So I have a very good attentive ear where I can, again, I'm not perfect pitch, but I am relative pitch. I'll be within a note, half a note of the key, and then I hear the changes or the subtle changes in a chord if it is not so clustered with layered sounds. Um, it is an honor to be able to share this information with those of you who watch me this time. Those who will be watching the replay understand that I've been doing this since 1992 from a paper standpoint. Um, and I wanted to dig up. I don't know why I don't throw those papers away, but I was printing out chords on paper on a printer and mailing them to churches to help musicians. That's how deeply concerned I was that whoever was following me from the music standpoint could avoid um, anything that would hinder you getting to where you need to be musically. Am I where I need to be? No, I'm where I want to be right now. As I say, I am taking or looking at internet courses on playing jazz because I never learned to play jazz. I heard what it sounded like and I would try to emulate it in some of my chord playing. Sometimes you hear me refer to this is a jazz chord because it's the seventh chord or a minor sixth chord, a diminished chord, which is in the jazz terminology, not a one chord. What do they? They have a terminology that they use. This is a dominant seventh. I'm like, okay, dominant seventh. What do you mean by dominant seventh? Now I gotta go look that up. So I'll look at it and look it up and go, oh, it's a C chord that has a seventh note in it. Why not just call it a C chord with a seventh note? Well, they have terminology, slang in the jazz world, which I don't 100% know. I'm a novice there. But I'm not a novice when it comes to that gospel sound that helps to usher along a church setting. And that's what I look to share. Getting church musicians and musicians in general. We have a visitor from Germany. I'm not sure how you're doing this, sir. I'm gonna see if I can find you. I can't pronounce your name, but listening from Germany, I hope that you're still there. If not, you can see the replay. I hope that what I'm sharing with you gives you ammunition so that when you're in your setting, if you're the musician there, you can now bring some of the African, you want to use the black gospel sound into your church ministry so that when you're doing a song like Oh Happy Day or Revelation 19, Hallelujah, Salvation and Glory, you'll be able to emulate those same chords based upon what I've shown and what I've shared on this channel since 2006. I think what am I on? Um, I see an ad has popped in. I don't know if you got an ad, so I'll let it pass through before I continue talking. For those who are not getting the ad, because I'm watching on my iPad. Okay, the ad is gone. I'm hoping that the instructional music lessons that I give on this channel will help to augment the sound where you are. If that sound has inspired you and you can now emulate that sound and duplicate it in your setting, you can now inspire those who are listening. Because in this day and age, with what's happening around the world, music is probably the only tool that the average person can use to calm. If we want to look at what Scripture has posted, that when Saul was being turmoiled by evil spirits, it was David playing his music that calmed him and drove away those evil spirits. If I can help in my um, novice way of giving information musically, that you are able to calm the spirits that you are in front of musically, be it live or be it on this type of a setting, that I can give you tools to be able to do that. And you develop your own sound. And then you place a video of it so I can listen to it. Certainly share with me through this medium by leaving a comment, a like, of course, and as you can see, subscribe to this channel so that I can hear what you're sounding like. Do I want to hear me in your music? No, but I do want to hear the elements that I've given you, as if though it was ingredients for a chef, to say, put this seasoning in that, what you're playing now, and if it sounds great, use it. If it don't sound great, put it on the side until you have a need for it. But it's nice to be able to have as much information. This comes to a time where I want to thank those who have been a part of this live. A good gentleman, I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name, from Germany. Music Vaughn from Connecticut. I'm going to say, back in my past as a technician for IBM, I drove through Connecticut servicing equipment in some of the CVS's, I believe, in the Walgreens, and in the locations that had IBM typewriters. I wasn't always a musician. I had 48 years as an IBM technician, which means that discipline that they taught me in repairing and hearing how a machine doesn't work, I transferred that discipline also to practicing. Cedric, thank you again for being the contributor to the stream. There's a terminology they use. You're the, I'll have to figure it out, I can hear it again, but you are the major contributor, and you're supporting. Thank you for supporting me in my efforts. Let's see, Shedrick from Texas, Shedrick Jenkins, excuse me if I mispronounce your first name. T Drums, let's see, Sub-Zero, who always finds me on my stream. As I say, I don't post all the time when I'm going live, I just do it, excuse me. Jay Green, and I think I've got everyone. Thank you all. I usually have an outgoing song, and I'm gonna go back to the organ mode and see what I can come up with. I may bring up my drum pattern and give you a nice testimony style outgoing song. See which one can I come up with. Praise the name of Jesus in E flat. That sounds like a good one.